This is a continuation of the tutorial on wood splitting techniques, and we're going to show some of the problems that require splitting with wedges. The previous video went through some other species. This piece we've got right here is elm. Now, a lot of people don't like elm as a firewood, but I think as a firewood it's actually just fine. It's dense, but it's a real bear to split. It tends to be very fibrous and hard, and you can see it's got lots of knots in it, and quite a few of them are internal, so you can't even tell where they're at from the inside. You can see I've already put 3 good hits in line, and it didn't budge. So at this point we have to resort to using wedges. We'll use one wedge in the outer 2 of the indentations left by the axe. When you're using wedges and smashing on them, you're going to be generating a lot of high frequency noise. I would advise you never do this without hearing protection unless you're fond of losing your high frequency hearing. I often wear 2 sets of hearing protection, plugs and headphones. In this case I'm just going to use the headphones. Simple procedure. You just put the wedge in, give it a tap to get it started, and then drive it on in. Start gently because you want to make sure it really gets seated down. Then do the same with the other one. Once you have 2 in, you can alternate back and forth between them. One of them will hold it open to make it easier to drive the other one. You don't want to try and go all the way on one. Gives you an idea of just how stringy this elm is. Even split that wide apart, it's not going all the way through. This is one of those rare occasions where I'll bring out my monster maul because it has a much wider wedge. The trick, of course, is to make sure that your edge doesn't hit either of the wedges. That's why it's good to start with those wedges far apart. So we'll try and get it right in there. Okay. That let the wedges drop freely. That one's actually loose. And so it's kind of amazing, but it's still not split. You can see some of the stringy connections in there that make elm so tough to split. At this point we'll go back to the sharp splitting wedge, or splitting axe, to take out some of the strings. Still working with elm, and I may get lucky and have this split open, but odds are it won't. And hopefully I'll get the axe seated in and it will open a crack, but the stringiness will hold it together. If that happens, what I'll do is take a wedge of the wood that's sort of scrapped, that's split off in my other work, and I'll insert that into the crack. That will hold it open so that when I remove the axe, there will still be a fairly wide target, at least a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch for me to shoot at, rather than missing a closed crack and hitting right next to it trying to start a new plane of splitting. Okay, so we've got that open now, and we'll take this simple scrap wedge and drive it in, and now the axe comes out easily, and now I've got a fairly broad target to hit for the second time. Not a metal piece, so if I hit the wedge it's not going to hurt my axe any. Here we've got another challenging piece of sugar maple. The central leader is smaller than this major branch out to the side, and there's another matching branch out to the side. You can see this suture line here and here gives you the clue that the crotches go all the way down to there, so that's going to be a difficult thing to split aside. This is too small and widens out too quickly to try and split this off, and the top itself is a little bit narrow to try and go right down through the middle. This side does present a good opportunity for splitting something off. It already has a major crack going that way, but that doesn't do us very much good trying to split this direction. So what I'm going to try to do is to put one shot right through here to peel off that side, and then on the bottom side we've already got strong evidence that it's splitting within the plane of the crotch. So once we've split off some of this, we'll turn it over and then try to hit this to split it in a couple of halves. So hopefully we'll be able to break up this one complicated piece into 3 separate smaller pieces. They won't be nice pieces, but they should be smaller. So first let's go for this one. And we're a little bit off, but close. So now we'll flip it over. The trick is the bottom is not quite stable, so a very common trick is to take a little scrap of wood and put it under the side that you need to make it stable. So now we've got it balanced, and we'll try to go right down the middle of the crotch. So shot right down the middle is once again split it open right along the axis of the crotch. So that plane of symmetry is one of the few weak spots when you're dealing with all of this knot development that has the irregular grain. You're going to want big pieces to last a fairly long time. You're going to want small pieces to help start your fire. The more surface area you have per volume, the easier it is to get that thing to burn. So you're going to have to split some kindling. When you split kindling, always choose a nice straight piece to do it. Save the pieces with knots in it for the big chunks that you want to burn a long time. Now, rather than trying to take something like this and do a big swing on it, what I like to do is swing them together. So I position the axe right where I want the split to be, and then I bring them down together. And that way I can get a split piece there. So we'll do that again. Position it. That's odd. So I think that's a safer way of doing it, because you're not trying to hold it and swing. You're going together, and that reduces the chances of hurting yourself, and it also ensures that your axe is going right where you want it to. Sugar maple again. This one has a large branch on this side, a much smaller branch coming off here, but it's got a lot of growth around it. So that's probably going to be a lot of distorted grain that'll be tough to go through. You can see this little bump here. That indicates there's a knot that was a branch that didn't survive. Same thing on this other side. You got this little bump that indicates there's a knot that was there. It's going to be tough to go through this, so I'm going to take advantage of the splitting that's already developed. This one right here, I'll come across here, and that'll try and shoot it down right beside this one here. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so this side opened up. That side's a little bit off, but we'll give it a shot over here. Okay, at this point we got the zag opened up, so we'll take a scrap, drive it in, and now we've got a nice big open crack to aim for. And you can see we did overpower this knot right there. Now, we've got this major knot, and I'm going to do something that is really not advisable. I'm going to try and go through the knot from the side. It's almost always a bad idea, but I want to demonstrate what happens when you do try to go through the knot lengthwise, or from the side rather. Basically nothing. So we'll hit down here, and we've got a good crack going, so we'll try up here again, and hopefully that'll split the rest of the way. Voila. In the last set of tips, we cut this piece of sugar maple right up through the crotch. Now you can see there's a little bit of a seam running this way, because as the two were growing there was bark on the outside, so there's actually a plane of weakness that goes part way down through the crotch. If you hit directly in that crack, you actually have a chance of opening this up and then splitting it the rest of the way down. But I don't recommend it unless you're sure you can hit exactly where you want to, because if you get a little bit off to the side, it just won't work. So my first shot needs to fall right there, right on where that bark is between the two pieces. Okay. So that's opening up, and you can see where the bark was and how it's a weak spot that does allow it to open up. So if you're lucky, you can take a crotch out too.